Hi, I'm Juan Green, and this is Crash Course History Alternative Time Edition. Today, we're diving into the most asked question and most debated and misunderstood question in American history. What if the South had won the Civil War? Now, before we jump into Confederate flags and steampunk speculation, a quick disclaimer. This is a what-if scenario. History did not go this way, and thank goodness. But it's a great way to understand what did happen and why. So buckle up, Yankees and Rebels alike, because we're going down a rabbit hole.
Oh, Mr. Green, so you're telling me that the Confederacy could have been the superpower instead of the United States?
That's a great question, me from the past. Let's start with reality check. The Confederacy could have won the Civil War, but not by conquering the North. It was never about total victory. The South's best shot was outlasting the Union's will to fight, dragging the war out until the North gave up. Kind of like the American Revolution. Think George Washington, but with worse moral footing and a whole lot of con. If Britain or France had intervened on the South's behalf, maybe due to a cotton shortage or decisive Confederate victory in Maryland, Lincoln might have faced enough public pressure to negotiate peace. That's the key. The South wins not with tanks, but with time. But spoiler alert, the Maryland campaign wasn't a Confederate victory, and Lincoln didn't negotiate. Still, let's imagine the South wins. Say it's 1863. The North gets sick of war, and Lincoln loses re-election in 1864. The new president, probably George B. McClellan, negotiates peace. Two countries emerge, the United States of America and the Confederate States of America. Two Americas. What happens next? So now you've got a victorious South. What does that mean? First of all, slavery continues. That's right, the Confederacy was literally founded to protect slavery, to treat their Constitution or the Declaration of Secession. Slavery wasn't going away anytime soon. In fact, it might have expanded to the West, the Caribbean, or even Latin America. Meanwhile, the North remains industrializing, but how with a hostile neighbor? Trade between the two nations becomes awkward at best and bordering skirmish. Probably. Ever heard of bleeding Kansas? Now imagine bleeding Missouri, Texas, and maybe California. Also, what happens to the escaped slaves? In our timeline, the North was a beacon of freedom. In this alternate timeline, the fugitive slave law might have been enforced internationally. Think of the Underground Railroad with border patrols and international extradition. Alright, fast forward a few decades. The world's changing, industrializing, global empires, new technologies. The North is still growing economically. The South, lagging behind. Why? Because slavery, while profitable for landowners, discouraged innovation. No need to invest in machines when you've got enslaved people. So while the U.S. builds railroads and factories, the Confederate States stay largely agrarian. Also, politics. The North probably continues down the path of liberal capitalism, possibly expanding civil rights, immigrants, and women. The South, on the other hand, might double down on white supremacy, not just socially, but as official government policy. How about foreign policy? Well, two Americas means two voices in world affairs. During World War I, maybe the South sides with Germany, and the North with Britain. Or maybe they stay out. World War II, Civil Rights Movement, the Cold War. Without the Union's full moral and industrial might, the 20th century might look wildly different. Let's say the Confederate States survived the 20th century. Maybe they industrialized slowly, maybe they abolished slavery, eventually, but Jim Crow-style racial ideas would likely persist a lot longer, and be industrialized even more deeply. Think South Africa is under apartheid, but with American-sized power. Now imagine both the US and the Confederate States in a nuclear arms race, two rival superpowers, one of which was founded to protect slavery. Yikes. You might be wondering, would the South eventually collapse? Maybe. Economically, they'd struggle. Socially, they'd be unstable. But if they survive long enough to get nukes, well, you can't exactly evade another nuclear power, can you? So, what can we learn from this grim speculative trip? First, the Union victory in the Civil War wasn't just a win for one side of the country. It was a win for freedom, democracy, and the long arc of justice. The end of slavery wasn't inevitable. It was fought for, and hard. Second, alternate histories aren't just for nerdy fun, though they are that. They help us understand the stakes of real historic events. The Civil War wasn't a conflict about states' rights. It was a fight over whether all humans deserve liberty. Spoiler, they do. Thanks for watching Crash Course History Alternative Timeline Edition. This episode was written with the help of actual historians, fueled by what if energy and supported by viewers like you. Next time, we'll turn the timeline where the South not only stayed alive, but somehow even managed to conquer the North. Until then, don't forget to think critically, question everything, and as always, I'm tired, I'm out of ideas. Thanks for watching!